Sewing is a human tradition that is as old as the shame of Adam and Eve. What started as a way to protect yourself from the elements and embarrassment has become a cultural touchstone all over the world. But human textiles and tapestries aren't the only examples of sewing in nature. A tiny tailor lives in tropical Asia, sewing its heart out for hearth and home. But perfecting a skill that provides you shelter is a noble pursuit in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter at LD Taxonomy or visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Tristan Taylor, Jesse Raspulich, Kel Raspulich, Paul Chomo, and Richard Kaspar. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about a bird that sings a song which is soft, but it's clear as if maybe someone could hear. But more on that later.
Sure.
Good night, moonlight ladies.
I don't know that song. Sounds like an old one, so I hate it.
It's a James Taylor song.
Yep, there we go. It's old.
You hate old?
I hate old by... I hate the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
That's actually one of his okay ones. It's pretty fun.
I haven't seen it. It didn't really hold my interest through the trailer. So
I mean, if the spectrum is between whatever you would consider his best movie to be,
The Last Airbender for sure,
and The Last Airbender being the worst, it's definitely above average because the Last Airbender is so abysmal.
There's just a wide gulf between The Last Airbender and I mean, I guess his best movie would be The Sixth Sense, maybe Unbreakable.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. But speaking of James
the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
We're talking about... Oh, wait, you tell
me.
I'd
say it. We're talking about the common Tailorbird. And also, if you're... if the audio sounds different, or if you're watching this as a patron, and you see I'm in a much nicer looking office, it's because Hurricane Ian is going to go turn my house into splinters in Jacksonville. So we've relocated for the time being. Because we don't want to live in splinters. That doesn't sound good.
No,
it sounds uncomfortable at
pointy.
best. Yes.
You guys are in in a hurricane zone? I would have thought it would have... I know it's going through Jacksonville, but
it'll be a tropical storm by then. We just don't... I'm being hyperbolic.
Gotcha.
Just don't want to spend several days without power with small children.
Yeah, for sure. And it's for us. We're not in the cone of disaster, but it's wet. It's very wet here.
It's really weird. It was really weird leaving North Florida to come to South Florida to avoid a hurricane. I was like, okay, this is all right. I guess this is what we do now. But it's nice. We got a generator here. We've got supplies, shutters, all the things that we don't have in Jacksonville. So it also excuse the tiny human screams. We're gonna assume that they're parrots. We'll call them parrots.
We're in a tropical jungle.
I am in a jungle.
It's the Jungle Book.
Which is very appropriate. That's a good segue.
Yeah.
To what we're gonna. So this is the common Tailorbird. Did I say that? Yeah. And so we're gonna call it here. A rivet runs through it.
Nice.
Crazy Stitch Asians.
Yeah.
And
it works.
Ricky Tiki Tembo, No Sa Rembo, Chari Bari Bucci, Pitberry Pembo.
I love it.
Because that's the one of the main characters in Rudyard Kipling's Rikki Tikki Tavi
which is a story in the Jungle Book.
Yeah, the Jungle Book is actually a collection of stories.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is Rikki Tikki Tavi. And one of them is... Which is the one that with Mowgli, then, that we know and love?
I forget what it's... Oh, what is it
The
called?
Law of the Jungle?
Is it? It could be.
Maybe. But anyway,
and then there's the elephant one that is boring.
Yeah, that one, I actually didn't make it all the way through that one. But Rikki Tikki Tavi is the story of a mongoose.
It was like one of my favorite things in the world when I was a child.
Really? I didn't discover it until I was an adult. But a couple of Tailorbirds are some of the principal characters in it. So, and then I don't know if you've ever read this story of Rikki Tikki Tembo no Sa Rembo Chari Baribuchi Piperi Pembo. Have you?
I've read. I don't know what any of that is. I can't. Is that from Rikki Tikki Tavi? Because I can't remember that.
No, it has nothing to do with it. It's a story of a firstborn kid who has this super long name, and then a secondborn kid who has like a really short name. But the firstborn keeps falling into a well, and the secondborn keeps running back to his parents and having to say like he's fallen into a well, but he has to say the whole name, and like it's this kind of joke where he keeps having to run back to his parents and like out of breath try to recite this kid's entire name: Rikki Tikki Tembo no Sa Rembo Chari Baribuchi Piperi Pembo. And all the while like the kid's in the well. So I forgot how it ended, but I remember reading it a bunch as a kid. And it just, when I saw Rikki Tikki Tavi, I thought of that. But we'll stick with the Crazy Stitch Asians because that's easier to say. Do you want to taxonomize this, or do you want me to taxonomize this?
You know what? You go ahead.
All right, I thought you'd say that, so I wrote it down. The kingdom is one you know, love, and are in. That kingdom is Animalia, the one and only. The phylum is Chordata. The class is It's a Bird. Let's hear you say it. I know you know it. It's Aves. That's right. The order is Passeriformes, the largest order of birds that includes jays and crows and things like that. The family is Cysticolidae. The letter C is such a superfluous letter in the Latin and English alphabet. It's really the Latin alphabet, because it's C and X and Q are, and I guess J are useless because they're all covered by some other letter. But anyway, they didn't ask me.
How would you do J?
It's G. G fulfills the J.
Oh, fair enough. Soft G.
Unless you
just
it's like
make
Scandinavian.
G is never soft.
Yeah, make one always hard and one always soft. But because G is both hard and soft, then that means that the only reason you need J is to say something like fjord. And then you just put a Y there.
Right.
And that anyway, I say C is superfluous and it's the first letter of my name.
It's also for cookies.
C is for cookie, and I gotta say, cookie is definitely for me. The genus is Orthotumus, which sounds awesome. The species is Sutorius, Orthotumus sutorius. That's good. That's a gladiator
beautiful.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is like, have you gather around and hear the ancient Greek tale of Orthotumus sutorius and his mighty campaign against the Picts or something like that. Not Greek, Roman, but whatever. Which brings us to my, I guess, second favorite part of the show, which is nitty-gritty nomenclature. I was so surprised and disappointed that Tailorbirds and songbirds in general don't have a collective noun. Birds are usually, ornithologists are usually so good at having like weird and surprising and fun collective nouns for groups of birds. And Tailorbirds, despite being an entire genus of bird, don't have a collective noun. And then songbirds, which I think is the entire family of Cystocolidae. Also, no collective noun. There's just too many different kinds of them, I suppose. So what we need is like a supergenus or a subfamily, and then you could probably come up with a collective noun for that. But since we don't have one, we're doing nitty-gritty nomenclature. What does Joe, Orthotimus sartorius, mean? Does it mean A, white-chested seamster, B, firm-eyed loom, C, straight cutting cobbler, or D, bright stitch?
I'm going to go with bright stitch. Why not? Final answer.
And it is incorrect. I was like, oh, please don't have looked at the Wikipedia because it's right there. The answer is straight cutting cobbler.
Dang, that was my second choice.
Really? Why cobbler?
Well, because the first one you said was seamster, and I don't think seamster's a thing. I think you can only be a seamstress.
No.
Well, when I looked it up earlier today,
no, a seamster is a seamster is a person employed at sewing. It's just it's the general or masculine.
Look at that.
Term.
Men really can do whatever they want.
What a world we live in. Men can sew too, and have a title for it. Oh gosh, we've made so much progress.
I thought it was just tailors and seamstresses.
It's also probably something you would call to a mixed group of people who sew. They're all seamsters. That's a group of seamsters. Some of them are seamstresses.
Seamsmen and seamstresses are all seamsters.
No. Nope. I'm not going to be called the seamsman. I refuse. I refuse that moniker and take on my own. Yeah, straight cutting cobbler. That's what Orthotimus sartorius means. I like breaking it down. I'm not really sure where this all comes from because ortho screams bone to me.
No, it's the cobbler one you said, right?
Yeah.
Straight cutting.
What did I say?
What did you say?
Straight cutting cobbler. I don't know how that fits into like the Latin breakdown of Orthotimus and sartorius, and also suture comes from the same root as sartorius. So
straight cutting.
Maybe that's the cutting part, maybe that's the cobbler part, but language is weird. Do you want to hear about what this bird looks like?
Sure.
Common tailorbird, which we're not just talking about I mean, I guess we are talking about tailorbirds in general, but this is the common tailorbird, is a small finch-shaped bird. It's shaped exactly like David Finch. It's really weird. It has but it's unlike a finch. It has a long kingfisher-esque beak, so it's kind of like a stubby sandpiper when you look at it. There is not a lot, if any, sexual dimorphism here, and sexual dimorphism is physical differences between male and females of a species. So these are it's very tough to tell one from the other. And so both males and females have pale green backs with white bellies and faces and red tufts on their crowns, on their receding hairlines. Their bird pattern baldness. And speaking of pattern baldness, they also have black patches under their necks that are more visible when they sing or call to each other. But these are not patches of feathers. These are actually black patches of bare skin that are exposed. So the skin that they have under their necks is jet black, like a gorilla's. They also have wiry pink legs and a long green tail. Males tend to have longer tails, especially during breeding season. And I said they were small, shaped exactly like David Finch. So how small is David Finch?
Well, welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show, the part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We do have a new Measure Up intro this week
Nice.
because Melissa continues to put the team on her back.
And the government shall be on her shoulders.
No, it's blasphemy. But before that, she has responded and told us exactly what that noise in the background was.
Oh,
Remember there was a
I said it was,
generator sound.
and I said it was a sewing machine, and here we are talking about the common Tailorbird.
Right. If only it was a sewing machine, then it would all be full circle.
Is it a
It
generator?
wasn't a sewing machine or a generator. It was. She said you were so close, but we were both not close. She's being charitable once again. It was she said a crazy old oscillating fan, which I can understand. I do have an old fan that sounds something like that.
Like a big metal one from like that's posted up in your like weight training class in high school.
Yes, that's the exact one I was talking about.
Yep. Interesting.
But let's hear what she's got for us this week. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Measure up. Let's see what you got.
It's the same fan.
The beloved Measure Up fan at work.
That's our biggest fan. It's the biggest one.
Yeah. Melissa has listened to every episode plus some, and yet she's in a room with the biggest fan. With an even bigger fan.
She's listened to every episode, including ones we haven't even recorded yet.
Yes. Yeah. So thank you, Melissa, for a
Yeah.
third of 4 Measure Up. So there's one more to go.
There is an
Let's-
entire jungle of animals outside of my door.
Well, let's see what you got. And let's talk about length.
Okay.
They're between 10 and 14 centimeters, which is 3.9 to 5.5 inches. How many Tailorbirds go into the length of the T-shirt made by Palestindia, or actually it's probably Plastindia Foundation, as in plastic, in 2018?
A T-shirt?
Yeah. Here's a hint. The T-shirt was made from 200,000 plastic bottles and featured a green and white striped pattern.
200,000 plastic bottles. Now, which dimension of this T-shirt am I going by? Like
Length.
hem to hem,
Yeah, probably
like
top
sleeve to
top of
sleeve.
the neck or shoulder to the bottom of it.
Okay.
The torso hole.
The head hole to the torso hole.
Snout to vent. Yep.
200,000 bottles is more than a few bottles.
Mm-hmm. The plastic bottles tells you almost nothing, except for that it is not a regular size T-shirt. Because it's not a shirt of bottles. It is obvious. It's recycled material, so it's like melted down.
Oh, okay. I'm picturing a parade float
No.
sized T-shirt made of plastic bottles that have been glued together.
No.
Okay, so and that are all in a row. So I was like, okay, how many plastic bottles tall would this thing be? All right, so then I have no idea. I'm gonna go with 20 feet. You said 5.5 inches, right?
Yep.
43.6 Tailorbirds go into this tailored t-shirt. T stands for tailored.
Is that your final answer?
T stands for Tebow. Yes.
Now remember, since Melissa sent in a new Measure Up intro, that means you get 5% bonus towards this and the next Measure Up question.
I get some EC, some extra credit.
Yeah, let's see if 5% helps you. The correct answer is 693 birds.
It does not help me.
The shirt was 96.86 meters or 317.78 feet long.
Yeah,
300-foot shirt.
I actually might have gotten that much more correct along if I'd continued along my train of calculations using the bottles themselves. Because I was at if this was a perfect square, there'd be about 450 bottles, but t-shirts are taller than they are wide, so I probably would have said like maybe 600 bottles tall. And if a bottle is 8 inches, even if it's 6 inches, then I would have said 300 feet tall, and I would have been much, much closer.
So the fact that it was melted down and stretched, you thought it was smaller?
I don't know if stretched. I don't know if it's thick. Like maybe it's thick with 2 or 3 C's. I don't know what this thing looks like.
It's a super thick plastic shirt.
Like you could melt it down and then make this. I'm picturing a parade float.
It's flat on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the 5% will help you in the next one. Let's talk weight. They're between 6 to 10 grams or 0.21 to 0.35 ounces.
Third of an ounce.
How many Tailorbirds go into The Weight of Fantasy by Gail B., the world's largest beaded wedding dress? Here's a hint. I discovered this dress looking for heavy fabrics because of the tailoring sewing theme. Ironically, this dress has no thread at all. It is beads on wire. So the dress's train is more than 20 feet long. The dress as a whole has more than 7 miles of beading wire and more than 1 million beads.
Do people wear it?
It's wearable.
Wearable, okay.
It's not very modest.
Oh, so fewer beads than are necessary.
It's got like an exposed midriff. So you would think, man, there's so much material. You've got to be like covered from head to toe. It's mostly train, I think.
It's like a bikini, but then just a train coming off the back of it.
Well, it's got a traditional skirt dress, I think. Well, not really. It's like chainmail, but shiny beads.
Interesting. I wonder if it's going to show up in Amazon's Lord of the Rings. All right, 1 million beads. That's probably the most helpful piece of information we have here, since we're talking about weight. And let's say a bead is a. I don't know. If it's wearable and someone like your average woman can wear it and walk around with it, I can't imagine it's insanely heavy.
I did not see anyone walking in it, just standing stoically and regally.
Standing and their knees are shaking and they're sweating.
Their
arms heavy.
Sweating. Mom's spaghetti.
Something about spaghetti
is on the beads already. So the beads.
Hey, that works.
The beads are of different size. Some of them look like crystal. So
I'm gonna say this thing weighs. Oh, and the train is 20 feet. So you don't have to wear it. You just have to drag it with you. That can make it a lot heavier than...
Unless the beads roll. If they're free to roll, then it'll just be chaos to wear.
All right, I guess we gotta get through this. I'm gonna call this 50 pounds. And there are 16 ounces to a pound, so 800 ounces. 2,200, or we'll call it 2,300. Tailorbirds.
Final answer.
Yes.
The correct answer is 18,285 Tailorbirds.
Oh, man, I wish you
The
had
dress
said
is more than
1,800.
400 pounds.
That is definitely a reason to stand there stoically and not walk anywhere.
Yeah, I'm imagining most of the weight is in the train.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a thin train, it fans out. It's wide.
And you need
well,
to like.
at least it wasn't close.
So this is a good one. It's a good one. I'm just imagining this person needing to walk, and then she has to turn around and like heft up like the portion of the train that's closest to her and pull it like she's a prisoner with a ball and chain. It's like very inelegant like motion.
I think unless I'm wrong, and there's a video out there of somebody walking in this, I think if you took one step, a million beads would go scattering everywhere. Like the train would rip off, beads would be everywhere, chaos would reign. Like
Wow, that
beads
is
down a
that is
staircase.
intense. This thing is the train of this. I was not anticipating this. You said it was 20 feet long. I was anticipating like a red carpet, like a long thin train. This is
yeah.
an entire area rug.
Yes.
Like you could have a church service on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
you could
so
get
big.
married on it.
You could just have everyone standing on your dress.
Trying not to like slip like the wet bandits.
We're gonna get married on Tuesday and also on my dress.
I'm in the dress, you're on the dress.
This is
on it.
I would say heck
in
no
this
to
dress,
this
I'm
dress.
Yeah,
Make me this dress. I'm on it. It's like, then please get off. I need to finish making it.
yeah, it's definitely not a dress that I would recommend to wear. It seems
No.
uncomfortable. It seems immodest.
Yeah,
It seems like it would be very cold.
cold and heavy and expensive. Just not nothing good about it. Nothing good.
It's just wire and beads, so it can't be comfortable.
Yeah, this is just for the spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
And for this show.
Yeah.
They made it for this show.
And a spectacle it is. It's very shiny.
All right,
So
you ready for some fast
I will
facts?
not take that away from them. But I am ready for some fast facts.
All right. So these Tailorbirds, the common Tailorbird, lives all over the place in the south and southeastern portions of Asia, including all the way from India and Pakistan and Sri Lanka to China and into Indonesia, into Java, the island of Java, which is why they're crazy stitch aliens. Asians. I mixed Asians and Taylor, so I got aliens. They eat a variety of bugs and beetles, but they also enjoy specifically insects that hang out near fruit and flowers. So they're often covered in nectar or pollen. I guess as a garnish for their or drizzle for their beetle. I'm just imagining one of those fancy plates, or a regular plate but with fancy food on it, where there's like the tiniest amount of food, but then it's like this big drizzle that's over the whole thing. This big useless drizzle, like Ratatouille, and it's just fancy like a little food, like June bug in the middle. And there's just this nectar drizzle across the whole thing, and like a dusting of pollen. That sounds like for a chef kiss for a Tailorbird.
See, take that, Gordon Ramsay. Eat your heart out, Gordon Ramsay.
He can't, because there's only one little June bug there. You can't eat your heart out of anything. You just spent $60 on like one bite of food. Anyway,
I don't understand the phrase "eat your heart out."
me neither. Like eat yourself into a heart attack? That sounds like
It means take that.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of vindictive phrases like egg on your face and stuff like that I don't really know.
Well, I mean, having egg on your face is embarrassing, which is what that means.
Yeah,
But why would auto cannibalism of my own vital organs be like,
eat it out.
Take that.
Like
be sad.
Eat it out of your body. Like it's still in your chest and you're eating it. That's horrific. That's like a Saw movie.
Oh no, I thought it meant like eat your heart, but like don't make. It's not home cooking. This is restaurant quality because you're eating out.
You're eating out. And it's guess what? Special on the menu is your own still beating heart. Congratulations. Take that. I mean, sure, yeah. At the end of that situation, I think the appropriate phrase is "take that." So, I think we've come full circle. The Tailorbird, after breeding, the female will lay a clutch of about 3 eggs, and they will take a fortnight to hatch, and another fortnight for the chicks to fledge and be able to fly. And Tailorbirds, both males and females, take part in child rearing, which is biblical. And Tailorbirds are easy targets for the cuckoo bird's brood parasitism, which we've mentioned in our cuckoo bird episode, and also another episode we did recently, which is similar to that. Oh no, we actually covered a cuckoo bird a few episodes ago. But yeah, so check in on those episodes to find out how the cuckoo bird is a parasite. And enjoy all of our Ayn Rand jokes. And that's it. That's all I got for Fast Facts.
Richard Tichard David. Let's talk about the major fact.
What?
I'm calling this major fact sewing, soaring, and snoring.
Sewing, soaring, and snoring. I like it.
Mm-hmm. So common Tailorbirds actually sew. And
nice.
That's all I got for that.
Bye.
JK. Like,
JK
for real,
Rowling.
they are actual seamstresses. They aren't actually tailors because tailors are people that they're not out there making tiny suits and dresses. Instead, their sewing is for nesting purposes. They're constructionists. They're handy women of sorts.
They're utilitarians. They're objectivists. Yeah. They're parasites. I'm just kidding.
If you're a Tailorbird, you can't be a seamster because it's the females that make the nests and do the sewing. So first, in this process, the female will find a suitable leaf for nesting. So the leaf has to be large and fresh, able to bend without breaking, and she'll use her feet to wrap the leaf around her to test its size. So that's sort of similar to what like maybe a tailor would do when they're looking for a good textile.
Wrap themselves up in it. That's so whimsical. Yeah. Like an experienced tailor will just take a piece of fabric and just like burrito themselves and like, this is nice. This is material I'm going to use.
I'm just imagining like Cinderella singing to animals and like getting ready for the ball.
Yeah, and the animals actually do the tailoring and seamstering.
Right, exactly. So this is not just the common Tailorbird that does this. Everyone in the family group, I think, will sew. But when she finds a good candidate, leaf-wise, she'll use her slender beak to puncture holes around the edge of the leaf. So the holes are so small that they don't damage the leaf or cause it to even brown. Otherwise, damage to a leaf will cause it to become brown and brittle, or at least around the damage. But not so. This is a precision operation. Maybe this sewing is like is surgical in expertise.
It's like threading a needle.
Yeah. So next, she'll find the fine fibers to fill the fissures.
That's a sentence.
Yeah, it's holes is more accurate than fissures, but I had to go with the alliteration.
Find fabulous fibers to fill those well, I already said fabulous. To fill those fantastic fissures. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So they'll use a spider silk, cotton fibers, caterpillar cocoons, and lint as thread. So they will use cotton fibers as thread, which means they use the same thread we use sometimes.
I don't think thread is made of cotton fibers, is it?
Sometimes.
I think it binds cotton together.
No, cotton shirts are made with cotton threads.
I guess if it is 100% cotton, then the threads must be cotton, right?
Right, yeah, unless it's just like a big puffy like cotton ball shirt with polyester fibers as thread. But
you're right.
So.
Cotton is the most common natural substance to make thread. You're right.
So threads join the holes together. So the Tailorbird isn't tying knots. Unfortunately, that would be fun and awesome, and I'd love it, like this tiny animal tying little Boy Scout knots. But the coarse thread grips the elastic of the supple leaves without coming undone. So you mentioned what did you call it? What is it called when you riveting? This is a riveting process.
Oh yes, what did I say?
Very interesting.
A rivet runs through it, which is
yes.
very appropriate here because a rivet does run through it.
So instead of it being like tying the two holes together around the edge of the leaf, it is just a rivet through the two holes. Still very interesting and cool. So this process allows them to make this enclosed nest that even has a roof that protects the top of the nest from UV radiation and also rain, which is good for monsoon season, which we are in as well. So in some cases, nests are made from one large leaf that is sewn to itself. So that it's a big old leaf that is folded like a taco and then sewn to itself to make a little tube to make a little nest in. But if she can't find large enough leaves, she'll sew a bunch of leaves together.
A little bird burrito. Bird bean burrito.
Yeah. And she'll do this in the middle of a bush or in dense foliage to hide the nest from onlookers, especially ones that would either eat or take some eggs or leave some eggs, like you mentioned.
Take a penny, leave a penny thing.
Yeah, her policy in her nest is take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints.
Don't leave any footprints on the eggs, please, though.
Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, unless you have tiny bird feet, then it's fine. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I don't understand how they figured this out. How did they do that? It must have.
They were created that way, Joe.
It was baked in. Yeah, exactly. This is one of those things. It's kind of like the diving bell spider. I can't imagine an adaptive process that led to that.
The adaptation for something like diving bell spider would have to happen so fast. It's like any spider that goes in here dies or drowns or something. But the ones with more hairs on their butts trapped air, and gradually that became the more favorable trait until they all trapped lots of air. I don't know. It just seems...
Well, it's kind of like the beavers. We just talked about this. where we used to think, by we I mean humans, used to think that beavers were like maybe the smartest animal. We thought they were so smart because of the way that they were able to like perfectly build a dam in order to raise water levels where they wanted to. And not only that, but also make lodges that were structurally sound and,
underwater
yes.
Entrances and insulated during winter.
But
like,
then
why doesn't every animal do this?
Right. So they must be really, really smart to be able to do this. But then the whole like tape recorder thing kind of shows that there's something in their instincts. There's something in there baked into their DNA that drives them to do this specific thing. And that is just very interesting to me. Fearfully and wonderfully made.
Like mosquitoes.
Yeah. Yes.
No one ever asks God why he made mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Beavers are apparently a keystone species, by the way. We did not mention that in the last episode. Just like the banshees in Avatar. Keystone species. That's where everybody learns about keystone species, is by standing in that 8-hour line at Disney World, Animal Kingdom.
But that's all I got.
Oh, yep. This is another animal that like sees leaves and says, "Oh, I can do something with that." Take that, orangutan.
Orangutans, yes.
The South American tent making bat does the same thing.
I could do more with this. Like the team of people that saw some beads. I can do more with this.
Oh, give me those beads.
Give me $1 million of them. What's your budget for beads? Is it $1 million?
For I know the plans I have for you.
Oh my gosh.
Plans to splay you out on the ground and make you an impossible dress. The most impractical piece of clothing since Lady Gaga's meat and fireworks dress.
Bears, beads, Buc-ee's Nuggies.
Oh, we passed Buc-ee's on the way down here, and I thought of you.
You made a mistake by passing it. Should have gone in.
We don't stop if we don't have to.
Stopping
kids.
That's true. I forgot about that little wrinkle in the plans.
We're driving by there, and it's like, oh, look, Buc-ee's. We've got 2 small kids in the car. I wonder what it would be like to take them into a gas station / Walmart mashup.
It would be great. They would hate it, I think.
And
how do they enjoy crowds?
And by extension, by proxy, we would hate it as well. That would be our first impression. We would hate it, and we would resent you for sending us there.
Listen, I never recommended it to Mason. I only recommended it to you.
Yeah, but we're part and parcel. We're the kit and caboodle.
I have a whole other list of roadside attractions for Mason, and most of them
involve dinosaurs.
Yeah, involve dinosaurs or giant things. Yeah,
upside down houses.
Yes.
And Disney World. Disney World's the best roadside attraction in Florida, I think.
Upside down houses, or that lopsided one that has Ripley's Believe It or Not inside it.
Isn't that also in Orlando?
Yeah. Wonderworks is the upside down one.
Yeah, we passed that on the way to the aquarium, because turns out an aquarium is a lot more fun to go to with a 2-year-old than Disney World.
You could do the Holy Land experience, although it's closed. But you can still see a giant temple from the highway.
Oh yeah, we should take them to medieval times and see what they think. Yeah, so that's the common Tailorbird. For you, it was riveting stuff. You have sown a good seed of knowledge.
Yeah,
sown in both senses. For you out there in Podcastia, eat a delicious beetle. Don't forget to add a light drizzle of nectar and stitch yourself a house like the Tailorbird here in life. taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
And sit yourself a friend.
See, now that's a precious one. That's way less vile than the last one. Foul.
Oh, the last one was don't bite off your Bucky's Nuggies.
No, yeah. Like I said, it wasn't bad advice.
That's not vile. It's very good advice.
No, I'm not. I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive.
Being vile and also good advice?
Yeah. They can both be true.
Like, happy is he that dashes the infants against the rocks. That's vile and good advice.